I'm someone who studies wildlife, or at least tries to do so. For me, we are not human beings, but Homo sapiens, a species among a million others, only highly evolved. A fact we can only realize when we get near to the wild and feel it closer. My endeavor to understand Mother Nature took me to Ranthambore in the winters of 2010, a quest that changed me forever. I am a wildlife biologist, and this is my story.
This documentary by Wildlife Movements India is sponsored by the Ridge Wallet. If you are an explorer, wildlifer, or someone who just loves traveling and wish to travel light, this elegant looking wallet will definitely comes in handy. As compared to the regular wallets, the Ridge Wallet not only occupies less space, but its RFID blocking mechanism provides added protection to your digital money. You can explore the options by going through the link given in the description below and use the unique code Discover India to avail 10% discount on your purchase.
Ranthambore has an interesting history of becoming a protected area from the hunting reserves of Maharajas. The park was named after majestic Ranthambore fortress, which lies within the park boundary limits. It has changed hands several times in the history, quite analogical to the tiger territories around the fort. Overall, it's a living history in and around the park. Ranthambore covers about 392 square kilometers and is located on the west bank of River Chambal. The northeastern part is the Kela Devi Wildlife Sanctuary. There are villages just outside the national park's boundary limit, living in a state of routine conflict with the wildlife. Ranthambore is famous for its tigers and probably the best place to see tigers in their home. Being a semi-arid area, water conservation has always been our top priority. Bowries like Khemcha Kund are the ancient ways of preserving water in this dry land. In addition, the department has built up anickets or check dams to hold up the flowing water across the park. Largely a dry land, the park has varied ecosystem, from seasonal water bodies to open dry grasslands of Aristida, interspersed with khair trees, valleys with Boswellia and Anogesis pendula, or the rare oasis with phoenix. Viewpoints like this in Kukraj provide great panoramic view of the diverse vegetation gradient. Diversity is also seen in the number of species found here, all interconnected in a mysterious harmony. Sambar is the largest of all deer species in India and is the primary prey of the tiger. Therefore, Sambar deer is directly related to tiger conservation. Understanding the ecology of Sambar thus becomes a critical factor in conservation of tiger. I, for that reason, chose to study the feeding ecology of Sambar in Ranthambore. Every species has a unique role in ecosystem. Langurs are the watchmen of the forest. Feeding on the tree canopies high up, they have a great observation all round. Their vigilance is of survival value for the fellow primates, other herbivores, and also researchers like us. And this supervigilance ensures that the predators like this leopard do not go unnoticed. Within seconds, the whole forest is alerted. Langur alarm calls are most reliable among all animals. I've never seen them raising a false alarm for anything. And the predator is followed till it is visible. The first day I entered the park, I stopped to read the caution. But every caution impedes after a while. I started the initial recce with WI camera trapping project. Working here for the past 4 years, they know every tiger out there and every route. They briefed me about the general area and the behavior of various tigers, especially warning me about T24 or Ustad. I recce'd the whole park for 3 days and learned about the various ranges where sambar density was good. Tourism is a big factor in Ranthambore and has various factors related to it. Most tiger sightings are like this, deep inside the thick shrub. After all, the animals are not trained to come out and pose for the camera. Tiger sightings is the sole purpose of most of the tourists who come here. A visit without is considered a waste. Getting a clear shot of a tiger is always high up in the priority list. And when someone gets a shot, others try to be adventurous as well. Tourism inadvertently becomes a factor in study design. Because apart from disturbance, I cannot leave my vehicle when there are tourists nearby. Tigers here are used to the presence of tourist vehicles and pose no threat. But a man on foot is always at risk. A fact that often gives me nightmares. Considering all the factors, I decided to choose my intensive study area with lesser influence of the tourist, covering about 80 square kilometers. For categorization, female sambar were aged as per the relative size and the male sambars were classified as per the length of their antlers. And now I had to verify if they differ in their habitat use. A fact easier said than done. On my very first transact walk, I stumbled upon the digging sign of sloth bear, an animal I have always been wary of. In addition to the risk, approaching an animal on foot is never easy. But it was important for me to observe their feeding closely, just to be sure of what they are feeding on. At times I was taken as a threat and greeted with aggressive foot stamping. And even alarm calls. Perhaps they were not used to seeing anyone on foot. Eventually, I started getting data on the feeding of various categories of sambar. Availability, it seems, governs the choice of food, along with requirement. I collected the leaf samples for nutritional content analysis at WI lab. Likewise, I recorded 24 species of trees, shrubs, herbs, and grasses that the sambar deer was feeding on. Along with the feeding survey, I had to quantify the vegetation availability in the random plots across my intensive study area. Mujib, my driver, was always there to lend a helping hand in my work, along with getting the morning breakfast for me every day. Sambar in Ranthambore is known for eating vegetation inside the lake, a delicacy enjoyed equally by both the sexes. But surely a difficult food sample for a researcher to collect. Some male sambars, it seems, would go to any length for the right food. Every new food plant was recorded against the sambar category feeding on it. Surprisingly, mud eating was observed in all the categories of sambar. Recording one such instance, I had the day of my life. Feeding on mud, suddenly all the sambars smelled danger and started running away. I could hear the alarm calls getting louder by the second. Sambars were startled as well. I knew a predator is lurking nearby and I may not see. As I unwinded my tripod and started recording the mud-eating behavior, something happened that I didn't plan for. Where the sambar comes to eat the mud, you can see the banks are all eroded. All the banks are eroded. Tiger? It was a tiger that my driver saw coming closer. I quickly picked up my tripod and reached near the gypsy for safety. We were in the territory of Ustad, the tiger known to have killed a person earlier that year. After observing the stripes closely, I could make out that it was Ustad indeed. We were over 100 meters from him, but still mentally prepared for anything. Tigers usually don't charge on vehicles. But if he decides to change his mind, I'm sure nobody can actually save us. Thankfully, that day he was thinking about a better food. Observing a herd of cheetal, he quickly jumped inside the bush, positioning himself in an ambush. Cheetal were in suspicion though, but were not sure of the threat. And then the silence broke. Another cheetal saw him in the bush, and the whole jungle was alerted. Ambush called off instantly. Alarm calls followed him for some time as he restarted the routine job of a tiger. Male tigers generally have larger territories than female that they defend aggressively. Given the fitness and aggression of Ustad, I don't see him getting dethroned by any tiger in near future. Scent signatures are like animal signposts. They are used to differentiate between individual tigers. They may even leave scent markings on the ground vegetation. My routine transit walks were anything but routine after that day. We usually stopped fieldwork after sunset and avoid leaving the vehicle in the night, as it was the time of the predators. Next morning, I started my day listening to the vocalization of grey francolin. Even the faintest of sound in nature conveys a hidden message. Gestures and behavior plays equal importance in communication. Forest guards in Ranthambore were always there to support my work. It was a two-way learning. Staying in the forest, they share an incredible bond with the wildlife. A bond of mutual understanding and trust that develops when Homo sapiens behave like a species rather than humans. The bond that allows this cheetal to reject the survival instinct and respond to the call of the guard, leaving the safety of the herd only to eat what the guard has to offer by hand. My presence wasn't that comforting though. Out of curiosity, I collected and analyzed that plant sample in WI lab, but could not find any special nutrient in it. Love, it seems, have no recipe. I then moved on to the easier research, the transect walk. Animals are always well camouflaged, and spotting them isn't very easy. Some just whiz past you while others show up without warning. Walking past a sleeping tiger wasn't a pleasant experience either. Luckily, I saw him first that day. Wildlife also indirectly influenced my fieldwork in more ways than one. Contrary to the tourist, I don't like to see tigers during fieldwork, for I cannot leave my vehicle when there is a tiger around. Moreover, the visibility of my study animal becomes nil in its presence for obvious reasons. For the final phase of the fieldwork, I required fecal matter to further corroborate the findings. My research was leading me to every corner of the park, showing me other life forms and their behavior. One evening, as I was driving through, a pair of sloth bears made me stop as they were crossing past the track. One of them ran away in the forest, and the other one was slowly approaching us without noticing the vehicle, till the last moment when he decided to stand up. That was too close for comfort for both of us. Thankfully, I was in the vehicle at that time, though even tigers on foot is a difficult animal to deal with. Still, forest guards and researchers like us are equally wary of sloth bears, if not more. Mating behavior of sambar has its own dynamics. Male sambar has a preorbital gland right before their eyes that becomes active in the mating season. Standing on the hind legs, the male extends its body fully and rubs this gland secretion on the branches high up. This unique behavior in sambar is called preaching and shows that scent marking is a vital part of herbivore ecology as well. Wallowing in the mud is the sambar's way of grooming itself for the big day. A stag may also spray urine directly on its face with a highly mobile penis. Fights are generally avoided and domination issues are settled initially at antler size or the display of aggression until it's inevitable. Sometimes it may result in permanent injuries that cannot be cured in the wild. This way, the healthiest gets to mate with the female, and the nature ensures that only the best genes are passed on to the next generation. I had to now cover the remoter zones of the park for the last phase, and to get more field time, I decided to stay in the forest chowkis itself.
Oh wow. It's the morning and I can hear the growling of the tigers.
We decided to wait till sunrise and move with the forest guard.
आज का प्लान क्या है जाने का? लक्कड़ का? राउंड कैसे मारेंगे?
लक्कड़दा से पेरू कचीदा जोखा
अच्छा
फिर इधर साइड होके आ जाएंगे कचीदा पर
8-10 किलोमीटर कुछ होगा
हाँ
तो रोरिंग सुन रहे थे हम टाइगर की उधर सुबह।
अच्छा,
आती रहती है क्या नॉर्मली?
आती रहती।
अच्छा। और सुबह आप रोज जाते हो राउंड मारने के लिए, आपको क्या क्या दिखता है नॉर्मली?
ये भालू दिखाता है, पैंथर भी,
अच्छा।
और टाइगर भी दिखाता है।
टाइगर भी दिखा है। अच्छा ठीक है, फिर देखते हैं आज क्या दिखता है सुबह। We have just started our morning trek and we are barely 100 meters from the chowki and we are seeing fresh pug mark of tiger. So it must have walked from here to the chowki or towards the back side because we heard the growling in the morning. So let's see what we'll encounter.
To make sure of the dietary habits of sambar, I had to collect its fresh fecal matter to get an exact idea of the nutritional requirement and preference that may vary as per age and sex. This was one of the most tricky part of my work. I had to follow the sambar for a long time in the forest, not knowing when or where they will defecate. Venturing deep inside at times, I used to forget that I am walking in the tiger's territory, only to be reminded by alarm calls that I always paid importance to. Nevertheless, I tried my best to get my hands dirty more often than not. The efforts finally paid up, and eventually I managed to get enough samples that are to be analyzed at WI Lab Dehradun. I hope my work would throw a new light to sambar ecology and would assist the forest staff to manage it better. Presently, India have over 600 protected areas under various categories. Most of them are facing problems like encroachment, human-wildlife conflict, habitat destruction, poaching, that also includes sea creatures, reptiles, and even turtles that are used in pet trade. India is known for its cultural tolerance, a land where nature and living beings are revered since ages. It is incredible to see that despite being a country of over 1 billion people, we still have about 40% of the wild tigers in the world. The destruction of wildlife is not just an ecological loss. This illegal money of wildlife trade has been known to fund extremism and civil wars around the world. It is high time we stop trivializing wildlife crime as a mere conservation issue, as it may fast become a social issue threatening the survival of Homo sapiens. After all, we are riding the same Noah's Ark, with our fates interlinked.